All right, good evening. Welcome to today's date. Today would be the 24th, March 24th, Finance Committee Workshop. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. I ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilwoman Graziano.
Present.
Councilman Andujar.
Present.
Councilman Ritz.
Present.
Councilman Trafficante. Councilwoman Haroyan. Council Vice President Wall.
Here.
Council President Marino.
Present.
All right, thank you. The first item on the business this evening for the Finance Committee Workshop would be an overview and discussion led by Auditor David DeMayo. Mr. DeMayo, you do have the floor at this time.
Thank you, Chair, Vice President. I want to thank everybody for coming and give me an opportunity to run through our budget process. The goal tonight is maybe to alleviate some of the initial questions when we get into the process and to kind of make your process a little bit more easier, flow a little bit better. As I try to explain everything, I'm going to explain the process that we have. The administration has their process to get the budget to us. So I'm going to take it as if when we receive it and how it goes forward. So Tom, if you want to go to the first slide. So what you have here is actually the process and the dates. So the mayor will introduce the budget April 1st at a 5:30 meeting. Then the council has set date aside for the hearings. So our first set of hearings will be on April 8th at 5:30, where we'll take the police, fire, and the school department. That one night there, we'll go through their hearings and their questions and whatever issues you may have with their budgets at that time. On Saturday, the 12th, we'll do the remaining departments. So it'll be from 8:30 in the morning until when it finishes. You know, some of the departments will take a little bit longer than others. Then on the 21st at 6 o'clock, we'll have a budget amendment night where changes and suggestions can be made at that point. Then on the 23rd, we'll have budget adoption night where the council will vote to agree on the final budget. And then obviously not knowing if we need it or not, we'll have to pick a date to be determined for veto overrides. So with that being said, I'll go over each of the process so it makes it somewhat easy.
Yep. Thanks. The clerk just pointed out, it looks like there's some mistakes in terms of the time on the schedule. So
Yes,
Council Vice
I was going to
President
point that out
Wall,
as
if you
well.
want to, I believe what, April 8th, she said 6 PM, is that right?
April 8th, it should read 6 p.m.
6 PM.
And April 12th, it should read 9 o'clock.
Okay, we're doing 9. Last year we did 8:30, but.
Yeah, I could be coerced into going 8:30.
No, not me.
My
I opened that
apologies.
can of worms.
We,
All right, we'll talk. Yeah.
all right, so my apologies on the date issues. I always try to start things earlier. But as far as the process, after the introduction of the mayor, at these hearings, the process of the hearings is the department chair and the director of finance usually will sit and will introduce their budget, which you'll get in advance. So it'll be what the mayor has issued, but also what I've requested over the last period of time of doing this is you will probably get 9-month numbers. So you'll get the actual revenue for the department, you'll get the actual expenses for the department. So it kind of gives you a picture of where the department stands in time currently, and that where the new budget is headed for that department. So, you know, you can annualize it and then you can ask the questions accordingly. So if revenue is higher because you analyze, it's a question that may want to be asked of the department chair. Is the department doing more? Is it generating more revenue? Along with a variety of the expense side. Is it running less? Is it running more? This is traditionally questions that are asked to see if the forthcoming budget that's been introduced will also agree with what the practicality is in time. So a simple example, if there's a revenue that's up 20%, is that going to be in the new budget? Or is it an anomaly for the current year that transpired? So the idea would be, is that an increase that can be used in the new budget, or is it just because it's a one-time anomaly, a bigger project, if it's inspections or so forth? Same thing with the expense category. Are they using more paper for something, more pencils for something, or are they using less because there's a new process? So those are the questions and the areas to look into based on the annualization. I will say this, some of the income and some of the expenses are not monthly all the time. So you might be a quarterly payment, so it may look like the expense is down, but there's an advance payment that's going to be coming up in the next quarter. Same thing with the income. There could be revenue that's coming in that's not coming in until the fourth quarter. So that's a part of the process, but it is a way to try to look at what's there to see where the areas can be increased, decreased, and see if there's money that can be reallocated to other departments or other areas. And that's the simplistic way to do it. Once the hearing process is complete, you as a council will have your suggestions or areas that you think need money or areas that revenue is going to be increased. So to go on to amendment night, so that night is a process of reallocating. So one department needs more money for overtime, one department needs more money for supplies, or one department has higher revenue. But when you do an amendment, if you're going to increase an expense, you either have to reduce an expense or increase a revenue. It has to balance. The budget always has. So if you give $100 for paper, then something else has to be depleted. Or if there's an income increase, you can reallocate that income to another expense. So it's very simple debits and credits. They just have to balance each side. Simplistic there. Adoption process is once everybody agrees, the council votes to adopt the budget as amended, and then it goes back to the administration. Lastly, the administration can make their process veto, and then we get to come back to the council to either override the veto or leave the budget the way it is. Now, I ran through quick because I'm trying to have the process be simple, and I wanted to leave a few minutes for questions because it's easier to respond to what you're thinking than it is for me to try to educate you on what you want to do and what you may not want to do. So that's the avenue. So if anybody has any questions.
If I can, Mr. Chair, just an issue that we encountered a few years ago, but these folks haven't seen some of them, was the rainy day fund as a percentage of the budget.
Correct.
If you can just talk to them about that.
So I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, it just increased. So the rainy day fund has to be 5% of the total budget. Simple example, if we have a $300 million budget, our rainy day fund has to be 15 million. Go ahead.
You're saying the rainy day fund, is that free cash?
No, it's not free cash. So basically what happens is if there's a surplus in any one year, it goes into a restricted fund. And if there's a deficit, that restricted fund will be reduced. So it's not free cash to use. By ordinance, we need to have in the rainy day fund a percentage of our budget. And that would affect our bond rating based on the requirement by ordinance. So it's not free cash, it's more of a protection if there's an anomaly that transpires. So if we, for some reason, did not get a grant and it didn't come in, there's money there to support that deficit for something we didn't receive, and vice versa. If we have a great year and there's a surplus, that falls into the rainy day fund. So the objective is if there's a budget increase, I think last year we were 320, 312, somewhere around there. So our rainy day fund meets the requirement. If by chance the budget goes up this year for whatever reason, then the rainy day fund, the need would be to increase that by the percentage of the revenue. And that's the total budget, not just the levy.
Dave, is that a mandated 5% or is it strongly suggested by the,
I don't, I'll go to legal for the, if there's an issue, if it happens, but I know by ordinance or by charter, it was increased to 5% from 3%. So I don't know if there's a consequence. I'll leave that to legal, but it is a requirement.
The council cannot on purpose neglect that number. It's a function of what automatically gets transferred there. So you have to keep a certain level there. Yeah. We had an issue, a couple of years ago. There were some one-time spending increases. And those increases really were to replenish, for example, the internal service fund. And in replenishing the internal service fund, there was a budget jump of, what was it, 7.5 or 8 million? Right?
9.
9 million. So in doing that, because it was a one-time spend and because it was a one-time transfer of another source of revenue in the form of ARPA funds, the 5% transfer didn't apply to that because we knew it wouldn't be a structural part of the budget going forward. That was something that was talked about that night. It can be a little tricky, but as a general rule, it's not.
And
good question. But let's assume you have a severe winter and you overspend your plowing budget by, let's say, $1 million, which occurred to me, by the way, during my administration. Can you borrow from the rainy day fund?
I think making the determination of borrowing, you're not borrowing. In essence, what would happen is at the end of the year, you'd have a deficit. And in turn, that deficit would reduce the rainy day fund. So to use the $1 million, if we have 15 million, but we have a deficit of $1 million, our rainy day fund will be reduced to 14 million. And to elaborate on that, those were actually the two expenditures were to fund reserve funds that were in a negative and to bring it up to compliance. Councilwoman?
So if somebody doesn't spend their line item completely out in the omnibus budget, where does that money go? So say I have $1 million, but I only spend 800,000 and there's 200,000 left over at the end of the fiscal year, where does that go?
So you're referring to an individual department? Right, so usually what happens at the end of the year is in every budget, because we have so many different departments, there'll be some departments that may have a surplus and there'll be some departments that will have a shortfall. So typically they'll do what they call fourth quarter adjustments, and they'll reallocate funds to areas to keep the budget within line to what the total budget is. Because the budget has to balance, but the money's been allocated. So if by chance there is an overexpenditure for one reason and an underexpenditure, they usually do fourth quarter adjustments.
Is there ever a positive at the end of the year where there's leftover money from like after you're done with all that? Is there a positive? And if
You
so,
mean-
where does that go?
So obviously, if you have a surplus, so that would be a surplus, that will go to the rainy day fund. So it's no different than a shortfall reducing it, a surplus would increase it.
Any further questions from the council? I see none. I want to thank you, Mr. DeMayo. So if there's no further business this evening before this committee, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome to the Cranston City Council's regularly monthly meeting of March. Today is Monday, March 24th. At this time, if the clerk can please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano,
Present.
Councilman Bonanno,
Present.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Present.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Present.
Councilman Andujar,
Present.
Councilman Ritz,
Present.
Councilman Trafficante,
Present.
Council Vice President Wall,
Here.
Council President Marino.
Present. At this time, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Next, we have approval of minutes. I will take, we've got one, I will make a motion to take the agenda out of order this evening. Someone want to make that motion?
Motion to take the agenda out of order.
Second.
Any discussion? None? Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. At this time, I'll take a motion to approve the sealed minutes of the February 24th, 2025 executive session.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next, I'll entertain a motion to take the remaining minutes as a block.
Motion to take the remaining minutes as a block.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the block of the minutes.
Motion to approve of the block of minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. We do not have any public acknowledgements and commendations. However, I see that Councilman Bonanno this evening is donning a very festive and supportive shirt, and I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
Thank you, Council President Marino. On Friday, this past Friday, the Garden City Bulldogs played the Orchard Farm Stallions in fifth grade basketball. And Councilman Ritz and I made a little wager that the loser would wear the opposite school's T-shirt to the next council meeting. So as a man of my word, the Stallions beat the Bulldogs. Garden City lost and Orchard Farms won. So I am wearing the shirt and I will get up to let everybody see it. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
He's a very good sport. I don't know if he would have agreed if he knew what was going to be on the back. So.
Thank you, and congratulations to Orchard Farms and to the Garden City School for runner-up. Right. Next
Thank you,
this
Council
evening-
President.
You're welcome. Next, we have public hearings and public comment on docketed matters this evening. If there is anyone in chambers or on Zoom who wishes to be heard on any docketed matters, please state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments limited to 4 minutes. We will begin first with in chambers on any docketed matters. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Council President, members of the council. For the record, Robert Murray, 21 Garden City Drive in Cranston. I just wanted to acknowledge my presence here this evening. You have 2 matters of interest First, under the ordinance committee, you have a change of zone ordinance and a comp plan amendment, ordinances 022501 and 022502. The ordinance committee held public hearings on these. I am present tonight if there are any further questions. And secondly, under matters carried over, the Public Works Committee, at the last council meeting, you continued the abandonment of a portion of Elmhurst Avenue. In the intervening weeks, I have provided to the solicitor draft documents that would be utilized in connection with the abandonment if it's approved. And I believe you also got an updated letter from David Cole of the Tax Assessor's Office. Brian White, the applicant, is here with me. We'd be happy to answer any further questions if necessary. Thank you for your time.
Okay. No one else in chambers on any docketed matters, so Tom will now move on to Zoom. Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to be heard on any docketed matters?
Account name A Cataldo.
Hello, my name is Annette. I'm calling, the reason I want to speak is to voice my opposition to the zone change for the Scaraglia property. I won't take much time at all because it has been unanimously denied by the City Planning Commission as well as the Ordinance Committee. And we've spoken many, many, many times in front of the City Council, and we just want to say we're against this. And we hope we can count on your support and have a nice night. Thank you.
Joe Narcisi.
Hello, Joe Narcisi, 22 Caraway Drive. Just want to start by saying, go Orchard Farms Stallions. Woo! No, as Annette just said, we've already spoken many times about the rezoning in Western Cranston, in this case particularly Caraway Drive. It was, as she said, voted down by both the Planning and the Ordinance Commission and unanimously by the Ordinance Commission. And we just ask you to continue to support the residents and continue to do what is right for the city. And we appreciate your support. And thank you.
Trisha Rugas.
Hello, Trisha Rugas. I reside at 33 Caraway Drive with my 3 young children and husband. I have been there recently also. I reside in Alpine Estates. I spoke at the previous 2 Ordinance Committee meetings in person. I was not able to be there today in person, but I am here on Zoom. Over the years, we've communicated our concerns regarding the proposed zoning change for Caraway Drive and adjacent cul-de-sacs. Multiple representatives from our neighborhood, as well as previous and current council representatives, have consistently supported maintaining the existing A80 zoning classification for these parcels over the past 6 years, and we found no compelling reasons to alter the zoning. So as stated, this has been turned down, and I'm here to just state that I am against the proposed rezoning. Thank you.
John Mullen.
Good evening, John Marlin, 41 Caraway Drive, Cranston. I echo my neighbor's comments tonight regarding the Caraway Drive proposed zoning change from A80 to A20. I am opposed to this zoning change, as is my wife Danielle. This has been an ongoing, issue for the last 5 to 6 years, as previous neighbors have mentioned. So I'd ask you to please vote this down tonight at the city council meeting. Really appreciate your support here, and thank you for your time.
Janice.
Hello, thank you. My name is Janice Cataldo. I live on 65 Sage Drive, Cranston. I've also spoken many times against Alpine Estates zoning changes, and I'm opposed to this zoning change. It's tiring for many of the neighbors in Alpine, but we do appreciate that we've had the council support in the past in both ordinance and planning. So I'm want to make sure that you hear my voice, that I'm also against this Scaraglia zoning change as well. Thank you.
Susan.
Hello, my name is Susan Bucci. My husband Gary and I live at 67 Sage Drive. in Alpine Estates. We also support our neighbors, and we hope that the vote will maintain the existing zoning and not expand it. And we hope that we can continue to count on your support. Thank you.
I'm seeing no other public comment.
Public. If it's a-
Strike that. There's one more, Danielle.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Yes, thank you. This is Danielle Marland, 41 Caraway Drive. Again, just wanted to appear and reiterate our position, both my husband and myself, John Marland, about our opposition to the zoning request that was proposed for 41 for the Caraway terminus. Again, we are at 41 Caraway Drive and have appeared and spoken in a number of different venues, both to the City Council as well as the Ordinance and Planning Committees, and just really wanted to reiterate our continued opposition to the zoning request. Thank you so much for your time.
I'm seeing no other public comment.
I see someone else in chamber. So online, on Zoom, public comment is now closed, and in chambers.
Mildred Morera, 25 Caraway Drive. My husband and I have lived in Alpine Estates for 36 years, and it has experienced significant development in its infrastructure capacity in those 36 years. The current building trends are changing the area from a rural to a suburban character, resulting in a considerable loss of natural habitat, the natural beauty of the rural farmlands, the woodlands, and the wetlands in this area. Originally, the development consisted of approximately 190 homes with streets branching off one egress road, Alpine Estates Drive. With development over those 36 years, the total number of homes stands at approximately 450, still using only one egress. With each home possessing a minimum of 2 cars, leaving and returning from work or school each morning and afternoon, with constant deliveries throughout the day and other service providers, the one egress for this development poses a major safety concern. School buses and parents from surrounding neighborhoods dropping off and picking up children at Orchard Farms in the morning and afternoon use Alpine Estates Drive as an alternative cut-through to approach the school entrance to avoid a traffic jam in the school driveway. As the development of Weston Cranston continues to increase, a burden on the schools has also emerged. As a retired teacher of Cranston Public Schools, having spent my last 23 years as a 5th grade teacher at Gladstone Elementary, I am aware of the burden placed upon the teacher in an overcrowded classroom and the negative impact that an overcrowded classroom has on teaching and learning, creativity, and the engagement of learning activities between teachers and students. Orchard Farms is currently over capacity, as are some of the classrooms, and it is not an exclusive to the Alpine Estates development. It also provides an education to the many children from the surrounding neighborhoods. By allowing this zoning change, the door opens for other landowners who fall under the zoning regulations of A80. New schools will be necessary, new land will have to be purchased, or additions will need to be added onto existing school buildings. Gladstone Elementary is under construction. It was originally a $57 million project. In 2023, it jumped to an $83 million project, and it is scheduled to be finished in 2026. What will be the final cost and the impact on the city budget? Is the building of another school justifiable to us taxpayers at this time? Tonight, we're here to ask you to please consider our valid concerns. We have been here many times, and please hear our voices. It is imperative that you reject this petition for a zoning change. You're holding the key. Please don't open that door. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, public comment is now closed on docketed matters. Moving on to resolutions. First up this evening, we have a resolution recognizing March as Women's History Month in Cranston. And Councilman Buonanno, do you wish to be heard?
Yes, please. Thank you, Council President. I'm not going to read the entire resolution, but at this time, I just want to be proud that I believe all 9 of us have signed on to this. You know, it goes without saying that support for women and their, you know, role in society and recognizing March as Women's History Month is something that's easier to support. As the father of 2 budding, young, strong girls and the husband and son of 2 extremely strong and sometimes strong-headed women, you know, I'm very proud to sponsor this ordinance with every single one of my colleagues. So thank you for the opportunity.
Does anyone else wish to be heard? Okay, I want to thank everyone for this resolution and thank my fellow female colleagues on the council for their dedication to public service and setting a good example for everyone, females and otherwise. At this time, I entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno.
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horayan.
Yes.
Councilman Andujar.
Yes.
Councilman Ritz.
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante.
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next, we have a resolution in memory of Rick Gephardt, sponsored by Councilwoman Graziano. Floor is yours, Ms. Graziano.
Thank you, Council President. We were saddened by the loss of Rick Gebhardt. Rick was part of our Cranston Public Schools as a guidance counselor and teacher for over 30 years. He was also the owner of a business here in Cranston, which was Wonderland Early Learning Center, which operated in Cranston for a number of years. He and his wife were both the owners of that. I will mention that she is also a dedicated Cranston Public School teacher that I had. And he will be missed by his family. And I thank the council the opportunity to present this before the city.
Thank you, Councilman Graziano. Councilman Buonanno.
Thank you, Madam President. I attended Cranston East and Bain when Mr. Gebhardt was a teacher and a guidance counselor. There weren't too many people like Mr. Gebhardt. He was a phenomenal guy, and Mrs. Gebhardt as well. While I am not artistic at all, Mrs. Gebhardt was an art teacher, and I know for a fact she had a profound impact on my sister's studies and my sister's ultimate decision to choose the path she did. So I would like to be added as a co-sponsor, please.
Thanks. I myself have heard wonderful things about Mr. Gebhardt. I didn't have the privilege of knowing him, but he must have been an outstanding individual to have had that kind of legacy. If you'd please, I would be happy to be added as a co-sponsor as well. Other council members, I see Councilwoman Horayan, Councilman Trafficante, or everybody. All right, okay. All right. And do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno.
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horayan.
Yes.
Councilman Andujar.
Yes.
Councilman Ritz.
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante.
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next, I'm going to jump to the resolution in support of Governor McKee's Litter Free Rhode Island campaign that's sponsored by myself and many other council members. This is something that the council took up in the previous term as well. I know I was a sponsor of that initiative then, and we're looking to continue with support of that statewide initiative as the city of Cranston's participation. Do I have a motion relative to that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
To approve? Yep, okay.
Yes, so moved. Sorry, to approve.
Yep, no, we're good. Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno.
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horayan.
Yes.
Councilman Andujar.
Yes.
Councilman Ritz.
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante.
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Okay. Next is the resolution recognizing April 22nd, 2025 as Earth Day in Cranston, sponsored by many of us. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, happy Earth Day in advance, and I hope everyone does whatever they can to participate in any way. Even picking up the litter near your house is helpful. All right, at this time, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno.
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horayan.
Yes.
Councilman Andujar.
Yes.
Councilman Ritz.
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante.
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next, we have a resolution in support of General Assembly legislation eliminating the taxation of Social Security income that's sponsored by myself and Council Vice President Wall. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Madam President, may I be added as a co-sponsor?
Sure, we'll just take the second and then we'll add
Okay.
co-sponsors. That's okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all right. Co-sponsors, Councilman Buonanno.
Yes, please.
Anyone
Thank you.
else? Councilman Trafficante? And would you wish to be heard, Mr. Trafficante?
No, I collect Social Security, so I'm in favor of it.
Councilman Campopiano, sponsorship, Councilman Andujar, Councilman Ritz, Councilwoman Graziano. Okay, all right. Yeah, and this state legislation is being initiated by Senator Patalano, from what I understand, and I believe on the House side, it was initiated by Representative Lima, our local state senator and local state representative. So hopefully this will come to fruition, but we'll have to see how it plays out. So at this time, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno.
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horayan.
Yes.
Councilman Andujar.
Yes.
Councilman Ritz.
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante. Council Vice President Wall.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next, we have the resolution in support of House Bill 5789, making an appropriation of $1 million for the Mashantucket Lake paved walking path in Cranston, sponsored by Councilman Trafficante and Councilman Campopiano. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Madam President, a question for the sponsor. I was reading the resolution. I noticed on line 29, it references that a resolution has been introduced. Would seem to me that if the House bill is right, it should say H-5789, which is a bill, not a resolution.
I will, at this time, then perhaps, is that considered Scrivener's error beyond? No, it's beyond. Okay, so I'll have the motion to approve withdrawn so we can then make that correction. So whoever made the motion to approve, you can withdraw that approval.
Withdraw my motion to approve?
I withdraw the second.
All right. And then I do believe too, I could be mistaken, I'll defer to council. I know Councilman Campopiano, you made a motion to approve, but I don't believe that you can do that with your own resolutions or ordinances. It has to be another council member, just housekeeping order. Okay. Is there a motion to amend line 29 so that it reads, has introduced Bill H-5789 and strikes the word resolution? Is there such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Councilman Ritz, Councilman Buonanno. Okay. Any discussion?
I would like to be added to the.
Councilman Ritz was be added as a co-sponsor. This is just a motion for the amendment right now. Yep. Okay. Councilman Trafficante, did you have something you wanted to say?
I was going to speak on the resolution, but I'll wait.
Okay, great. All right. At this time, the clerk can take the call on the motion to amend.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes, on the motion to amend. Councilman Buonanno?
The same word resolution is on line 36. I don't know if that makes a difference as well, but it does reference the house number H5789, so maybe that could be a scrivener's error. I don't know, but
Yeah.
okay, all right.
It's at least identified as a House bill, so Attorney
Okay,
Angel
thank
said
you.
the resolution word can be considered a scrivener's error. Yep. Thank you. Now, do we have a motion to approve the amended resolution?
So moved.
Second.
And any discussion, Councilman Trafficante?
As you know, this Mechanic Lake area sits in the middle of our city. It's a tremendous asset. It's a beautiful area to walk and to jog and to fish and of course recreate and probably sit in the grass and read a nice book. This asset is in desperate need of a facelift. It's been neglected over the years by the state of Rhode Island, and I'm glad to see this resolution come forward.
Councilwoman Horoyan?
Hi, I looked this up today, House Bill 5789, and it looks like it's held to further. So do we know if this is even getting a hearing again?
I don't know. I'm not one of the sponsors, and I do have, I'll mention my question now is there a sister bill on the Senate side for this House initiative? This House bill, do the sponsors know if there's a bill on the Senate side? If so, what is it? All right, I'm gonna assume that's a no. Anybody else wish to be heard?
I would just like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Okay, yep. And Councilman Campopiano?
Thank you, Madam President. To have a state park in the middle of Cranston is definitely a diamond, but this is a diamond in the rough. I go by there all the time. It's utilized by so many people as a walking path and to enjoy, and it's treacherous how bad and how poorly it's been maintained. So I am so glad to see this, and I'm hoping this goes forward because it's in desperate need of help, and I will enjoy it when it's done. Thank you.
Okay. I'll just make a few remarks, and then if others have a discussion, I'll entertain that as well. I know Mechanicat Lake area well. I would run there 40 years ago, over 40 years ago as a kid. There are streets there, and only a small section of it, proportionately, I think it's maybe about a third of it, is actually blocked off. We're restricted to only authorized vehicles. It is a state park. The state should be allocating funding and attention to it regardless, frankly, of this resolution. The pause that I have this evening is that we are dealing with unprecedented financial times, and I don't know what money is available in that budget. And $1 million is a lot of money, particularly when we have needs within the city of Cranston that we will know more of once the mayor rolls out the budget to the council. At this time, it's not something I can be in support of for that reason. And again, the state can still allocate its attention and resources to that area because the state park and doesn't need this specific designation. And particularly what exactly that's going to be used for. My understanding, and it could be wrong, is that I think the streets even nearby that people walk on, I believe those are city streets, not state streets. So that's the city's responsibility. So I'm not sure what this is really going to be used for. And I just trust that the state, in taking responsible ownership of the state park, will make the enhancements necessary regardless of this, and particularly when it's not even being sponsored on the Senate side. And as Councilwoman Horoyan said, it's being held to further study at this time. Those are my thoughts on it. I don't know if anyone has any other comments. Councilwoman Graziano?
Thank you, Council President. While trails are near and dear to my heart, and I think this would be great, I guess I personally am worried about the word paved. I know that seems probably small and menial here to everybody else, but I do trails for a living. I actually did an ADA trail. And I don't know the length of this trail, but $1 million seems like more than they need. I didn't spend this much money on my trail. I'd love to see the cost breakdown, but I don't know if we're gonna have that here. So anyway, I just want to say I support trails. I'm for it. I just feel like I would need a little bit more. That's all. Thank you.
Councilman Andahar?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to be put on as a sponsor, as a co-sponsor for the resolution, and I just want to let Councilman Trafficante know that if can't get it done there, we could always move it to Ward 3.
Councilman Buonanno?
Just some clarification. I believe that the paved walking path is already paved. So it's not like we're going to be paving over a quote unquote trail. When I hear trail, I also think of not paved. But it's already paved and it's, I guess you could call it paved technically. I'm in support of this. It's not, if we pass this tonight, obviously, we know, but for the public, this doesn't mean that, $1 million is going to be spent. It's just symbolic to tell the State House and the State House leadership that, hey, this is something in Cranston that we're concerned about. We would like to shed some light on. In my unofficial conversations with some folks that are close to this issue, and it's not an official, in any official capacity, but I have heard that this will be getting reheard by the proper committee. I'm not sure that there's a Senate side, but I have, well, if you look it up, it does say helpful for the study, but I'm going on good faith from some sources that it's going to be heard again. I could be wrong, but that's what I've been told. So I will be supporting this. I think Mashantucket, I agree with Council President when she says Mashantucket, is in need of some attention. I agree with Councilman Trafficante, and this is, I believe, partially in Councilman Trafficante's ward, partially in Councilman Ritz's ward. It needs a little bit of a facelift, and helping to support this, while is only symbolic, it will show the General Assembly that, hey, even if this particular bill doesn't pass, or even if it's not $1 million, or even if we come up against a budget shortfall statewide, this is something that Cranston cares about, and we want some attention to be brought to it. And the City Council is supportive of something being done to improve Mashantucket. So that's why I'll be supporting it. Thank you.
Council Vice President Wall.
Not to repeat or belabor the point at all, I would definitely agree with how Councilman Trafficante started off. This is an asset in the middle of our city. I think it is important, and I certainly, on the occasions I have walked on it, have noticed it's definitely in need of repair. Whether it's $1 million of repair, I don't know, but I will be in support of this evening, and I'd also like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Any other council members wish to be heard? No. Okay, at this time, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haroyan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Abstain? Next, moving on to reports of committees, we have Council Vice President Wall reporting out of Claims Committee.
Thank you, Council President. The Claims Committee did in fact meet on March the 3rd. The paid claims report was included within your packets this evening, and that's all I have to report from the Claims Committee this evening.
Thank you, Council Vice President Wall. Next, we have Councilman Haroyan, Safety Services and License Committee. There's nothing to report. Is that correct? Thank you, Councilwoman Haroyan. Next, we have Council Vice President Wall as Chair of Finance Committee reporting out of committee.
Thank you, Council President. And the Finance Committee did meet. They met on March the 3rd. They considered several items. The first we're going to consider is there was a resolution authorizing real estate tax abatements requested by the tax assessor. Those were included in your packets. It was approved of by the Finance Committee, and I would urge passage.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's a motion to approve. Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Next up, also that evening was considered the tax interest waiver approvals. These were recommended by the city treasurer. They were approved of by the Finance Committee on March the 3rd, and I would urge passage this evening.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Council Vice President. Next, moving on to Councilwoman Graziano as Chair of the Public Works Committee, but I see there's nothing to report. Is that correct, Councilwoman Graziano?
Yes, Council President.
Thank you. Next, moving on to Councilman Andujar as Chair of Ordinance Committee to report out of that committee.
Thank you, Madam President. On the 13th of March, we did have an ordinance committee and we had several passages on some ordinances. Everything's in the packet, so I urge the council to pass. The first one I would be ordinance 02-2501, amendment of chapter 17 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled zoning. Looking for a motion to pass.
Do I have a motion to
Motion to
approve?
pass.
Second.
Discussion?
Any discussion, council members? Councilman Campopiano?
Thank you, Madam President. I will be abstaining from the next two ordinances as I am in a butter. Thank you.
Did you mean abstain or recuse? 'Cause
Recused.
No, when he comes back, we can just have him clarify for the record. Thank you, Councilman Bonanno. Okay, so we have a motion to approve. We have a second. Do we have discussion on ordinance 2-25-01? Okay, at this time, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante.
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Thank you. Next up, we have ordinance 02-2502, an amendment of the 2024 comprehensive plan of the city of Cranston. I'm looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion from council members? Nope. Okay. Clerk, please take the roll. Oh, Councilman Andujar, did you want to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to reiterate that we will be taking these in blocks for future reference. We're doing it, I believe, 4 times a year, each quarter. So this is the end of the first quarter, so we're good.
I'm not sure what.
We only could do this you said 4 times a year.
No, okay, no, I think you're getting confused. In committee, we had discussed amendments to the comp plan that, under state law, we're only allotted 4 chances, 4 opportunities to make amendments to the comp plan. And we were going to take a little more thoughtful approach going forward. And given that this is the first one of the year, we're already, 4 months into the year, pretty much, it's not an issue. I can inform the council that I did have discussions with the planning department, with the interim director relative to this issue just last week. And she's aware of it as well. And so there will be a thoughtful approach going forward so that we will hopefully avoid a situation where there are good amendments to the comp plan that we're seeking to make as a city, but we're not missing the opportunity because we have used up all 4 opportunities in 1 calendar year. So thank you for that
Thank you for that
reminder, Councilman
clarification.
Andahar. Yep. Right, we have the motion to approve, we have the second, and no further discussion at this time. So clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Okay. I'm just going to wait for Councilman Campopiano to return and then just make a correction on the record before we proceed to the next ordinance, Councilman Andahar.
Next up, we have ordinance.
Nope, Councilman Andahar, hold on, just, Councilman Campopiano, just want to correct
Thank
that
you,
for
Madam
the
President.
record.
I want to correct, I am recusing myself, not abstaining. I misspoke prior. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And that's for both 22501 and 22502, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, now Councilman Andahar, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam President. Ordinance 02-2503, an amendment to section 1032.030 of the city of Cranston, 2005, entitled Multi-Way Stop Sign Intersections, sponsored by Councilwoman Horoyan. May I entertain a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Any discussion from council members? Yep. Councilman Andahar, you got a question?
Well, I just want to thank Councilwoman Horoyan for bringing this up. It was a very informative meeting with videos and everything. So I just want to thank you for looking out for your constituents.
Any other council members wish to be heard? I believe, and I could be mistaken, I thought I wanted to be added as a co-sponsoring committee. Just want to make sure if that wasn't the case, just, okay, yep, okay, great. That's okay, that's all right. And I want to second that acknowledgement to Councilman Horoyan for advocating for the residents and taking this responsible approach. And it was a pleasure for us to take the time to meet the residents on this issue. All right, at this time, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President. Last, the ordinances, ordinance 02-2504, an amendment to section 1032.020 of the city of Cranston in 2005, entitled Stop Intersections, sponsored by Councilman Horoyan. May I entertain a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion from council members? Okay. And just to be clear, this is just a sister ordinance, given the passage of 225-03. Okay, at this time, clerk, please take the roll.
Did you wish to be added as a sponsor to this one as well?
It's the removal one, so nah.
Okay. I
Thanks.
just wanted to clarify. Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Thank you, Councilman Andahar, for that. Next up, we have public comment for undocketed matters. If there's anyone in chambers or on Zoom who wishes to be heard on any matters that are not on the docket this evening, please state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments limited to 4 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Susan Blake. I live at 173 Grand Avenue. I'd like to thank you all for your time here tonight and for giving me a few minutes to speak to you. Tonight, I'd like to speak about the Cranston Police Department gun range. At the March 5th Special Planning Commission meeting, Acting Director Frias went over capital improvement requests, including a $5 million request from the police department to enclose the gun range. Nobody from the police department was present to speak on the request. However, Director Frias asked Financial Director Zadelis to confirm that the sound level from the gun range conformed to the city regulations and that only Cranston Police were using the range. Director Zadelis made no factual reference for what his answers were based on, and he incorrectly confirmed Director Frias's suggestion that the noise from the range did not exceed city charter decibel levels. In fact, the sound levels routinely exceed city acceptable decibel levels as per independent readings. There are also independent statistics gathered by Brown University showing decibel readings well above the acceptable level. Director Zadelis also confirmed Director Frias's understanding that only Cranston is using the gun range. In fact, Cranston hosts several other communities and entities as recently as last year. I did a public records request from the police department going back 10 years to see who used the range, when, and what they were charged. Wherever an outside entity used the range, there's a signed document. And during the 2024 calendar year, there were in fact 5 outside entities using the range: East Providence, Smithfield, Johnston, the Rhode Island Airport Corporation Police Department, which I don't get because Warwick has their own range, and the FBI. Each time they used it, the charge was either $75 an hour or $600 per day. Receipts are missing for the first 4 months of 2024. Granted, that was fewer outside users than the year before, but those 5 outside entities should have been noted in the planning meeting. And while others are still using our range in the middle of a residential area, compounding and elevating unacceptable noise levels and impacting every student across that street at the 2 schools, perhaps the usage fees could be set aside to help fund the enclosure or moving the range. Many students are already desensitized to the sound of the assault rifles, and administrators say it doesn't bother the students. It's too late for them. The damage is already done to their brains. All you have to do is reference Dr. Patricia Kokoza-Ritchie's report to this council on the damage resulting from this type of exposure. The new students arriving each fall and visiting students will all flinch and flash that panic look until they are desensitized as well. And I'm asking this council to start a conversation about solving the problem. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in chambers?
Council President, I may go over 25 seconds, so I ask that you allow me to finish. So much is on the line. Good evening, Council. We need to talk. As you may recall, I was here in January, and I provided you with extensive documentation on the public health crisis that we have in Mashantucket. In the subsequent 5 weeks, there was continuous coverage in the press, in the Cranston Herald. I kept you all abreast on everything that was published, and all of those emails are in the public record now. There was a very interesting development, as Susan Blake talked about, but it's worth reiterating. As you know, Mr. Campopiano, during the last council session, you spoke in support of enclosing the range to stop the law-breaking pollution. Guess what happened at the March 5th meeting, as Susan spoke about? The administration, through the director, finance director, Tom Zindelis, brought some interesting news to the commission. He stated that the gunfire was 55 decibels and below. I'll get back to that in a minute. He stated Mashantucket residents will be spared the dangerous and law-breaking gunfire because the city has purchased silencers, suppressors for all weapons. Thus, there is no need to clean up the 70 years of lead to build an indoor range. The third thing that he said is that renting the facility has ceased. How amazing is that? Cranston taxpayers will no longer be paying with their wallets, quality of life, or their health to train other departments. So why am I here tonight? Because we need to put those changes into law. We need to put them into writing. On the January 27th meeting, I proposed an ordinance stating exactly what Tom Zendelis reported to the commission. The ordinance is easy. It's an easy lift for you. It's in line exactly what the administration said is now taking place. Simply stated, limit the use of the training facility to weapons equipped with suppressors only, limit the use to active duty Cranston police officers, and prohibit the use of the range by other municipalities, federal agencies, state agencies, private organizations, and individuals. As you know, Council President, I requested for this topic to be on the docket tonight, and you chose not to do that. So I am asking that you open up the floor for discussion. I know you follow the rules of the city charter closely, and one of the rules, as was pointed out by the city solicitor during the washing machine debate, if you remember that, is the duty of the council to protect the health of the citizens. It's in the charter, which leads me to my final point. 3 more eminent experts on noise pollution are sounding the alarm. Dr. Arlene Bronzolf, world-renowned for her landmark studies on noise in children, Dr. Dan Fink, and Dr. Jamie Banks. The headline in the Cranston Herald, the article that they submitted reads, 82 decibels isn't just annoying, it's dangerous. I have copies of this article for all of you to be added to the dossier I provided in January. 55 decibels is the sound of my voice without the microphone. 82 decibels is what the sound is, the gunfire of the surrounding neighborhoods. So I ask you, open up the floor for discussion on codifying this into law. The changes that Mr. Zendelis announced on March 5th at the Planning Commission meeting. Will you do that so this doesn't have to be my reality?
All right, Mr. Mayor, we're well over
Yes.
4 minutes, so thank you very much.
Will you open the
Is
floor?
there, this is not a back and forth and you're 4 minutes up. Thank you, Mr. Mayo. Is there anyone else that wishes to be heard in chambers on the undocketed matters?
How do I, if you won't put it on the docket?
Mr. Mayo, you have been heard. It is time to let other members, others who very well are going to support probably what you said, have their opportunity to speak. And when public comment on undocketed matters is done, then council will move on appropriately at that time, and you will see what that is. Thank you.
I'm just
Next
asking for
up,
procedure.
please.
I'm just asking for a procedure information, that's all. None?
My name is Patricia Schoninger, and I live at 7 Scotland Road. I'm speaking today about the Planning Commission meeting that was held on March 5th. At that meeting, the Planning Commissioner, Steve Freyas, asked the Finance Director, Thomas Sedelis, if we are the only town using the range, which Mr. Sedelis replied, yes. I reached out to City Council members to confirm this updated information is accurate, that solely the Cranston Police Department is using the gun range. Council members confirmed that the Cranston Police Department continues to rent out the gun range to East Providence, Johnson, and Smithfield Police Departments, as well as the others that Susan Blakely had stated, and that these agencies use the range for an annual pistol qualifications. Mr. Sedelis should have confirmed with the Cranston Police Department before he answered the Planning Commission and told the truth that it is being rented out. The $5 million that Mayor Hopkins proposed to enclose the range was rejected by the Planning Commission. This is unfair to my community that we have to pay the price for what was done. Enclosing the range is a viable solution for all parties involved. There also seems to be a lot of expectation on the gun suppressors. And according to Lieutenant Joshua Digon, the suppressors will only be used on rifles to dampen the sound of rifle fire. They will not be used, the suppressors will not be used for pistol rounds. The most common and popular police duty pistol is a Glock 22, which is the primary pistol used by the Cranston Police Department. The decibel level of this pistol is 160 decibels. That is compared to the sound of a jet engine takeoff. The AR-15 rifle is also 160 decibels. Therefore, all weapons should be required to use suppressors. If not, this is only putting a Band-Aid on the issue. The people in my community and the students who attend the schools across the street from that range needs to be protected from the dangerous noise levels and the harmful effects it has on our health and community. And Council President Marino, it's been over 4 years, and this issue still has no viable solution put into place. And I am requesting that you and Councilman Trafficante put this issue on the docket for further discussion. How much longer are we going to have to wait before anything gets done about this that is going to be beneficial to everyone? Thank you.
Is there anyone else in chambers who has not been heard on any undocketed matter that wishes to be heard? No. Tom, is there anyone on Zoom?
There is no public comment online.
Thank you. Procedurally this evening for the public, so they know, in following state law, not city law, we as a council cannot have discussion on a matter that is not docketed. So despite the words that were mentioned this evening from residents relative to undocketed matters, they are precisely that, undocketed. They're not on the agenda. There is no council discussion. For accuracy's sake, in my previous 4 years on council, this agenda item of the gun range has come up on multiple occasions and has been discussed. And there are other council members that can be approached should the residents feel that there's something else to be heard that has not already been heard on this issue. And there are differing minds on the subject as to suppression and other mitigating efforts being made. At this time, we'll move on to council communications. I do not, we will do consideration of request under executive communications first. We have consideration of request from the Fire Chief Daniel Marcinko for 1-year continuation of service for the period of March 3 through March 2026. Director Moretti, would you like to be heard?
Yes, Council President, thank you. As we know, Chief Marcinko has been fire chief since January of this year, with a storied career of well over 30 years on the department, leading the department, being very effective. Certainly there's every reason to reappoint him, or shouldn't say about but to extend his tenure with the fire department. Given his years of service, given his condition, he's in great shape, passed the physical and has completed the requirements to retain him for another year. The administration asks you to please continue his service for 1 more year.
Thank you, Director Moretti. I want to thank Fire Chief Marcinko for his dedication to the community and his leadership in the fire department. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion from council members? Councilman Buonanno.
I just have a question, and it's not about Chief Marcinko. What is the procedure? Because I'm still learning. So it says he's not yet 65, so I thought it was when people turn 65, or will he turn 65 over the next year? I'm just unsure what the procedure is and why we do this.
I should be checking that, what, the contract, the bargaining unit contract agreement with the city mandates that firefighters attaining age 65, it's a forced retirement in essence. So he'd be forced at 65, so I'm not.
I was just reading the letter. It said not yet. So in compliance with the fire department pensions ordinance, yet not having attained my 65th birthday. So that's why I was confused. That's what the letter says.
I'm interpreting that letter to say that he's not 65, therefore eligible to be retained.
Got it.
But at 65, it's
Thank you very much.
Use the word forced retirement, but it's the agreement with the city and the firefighters that that's the case.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion from council members? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next, we have the legal expense analysis report for the period of the fiscal year up to the present time. Do I have any discussion from council members? Any questions for the administration? No. Okay, that's for informational purposes only. Moving on. I do not have any communications. Council member Horoyan has the floor for the Budlong Pool update.
Director Moretti, would you like to give us an update?
Looking over there for you. Yes, there is an update. Well, overall, the pool house, has been proceeding very much according to plan. Demo has taken place, has been completed substantially. Some construction has been done in that facility that's going to be retained. The 1930s facility will be, continue for many, many years. Demolition of the obsolete pool, if you will, has been completed. Site excavation has been ongoing. I'm not sure exactly how long, at least a month or so, basically excavating it so to provide the proper levels for the pool itself when constructed to be. It's kind of the framework, if you will, but of earth. The excavation crews ran into an issue week past Thursday, whereas they ran into an unexpected culvert. It's being referred to an aqueduct, or basically a large drain pipe, coming from the easterly side of the pool towards the deeper end, if you will, towards the fields. There was a pipe coming in, and that was unearthed, and the groundwater appears to be entering the pool area. As we know, the mayor had maintained that the pool was leaking, if you will, or water was getting into the pool. That kind of proved it, let alone the groundwater that was coming up near the stream and the pool elevating to that same level. That's besides the point. But as a result of it, it's causing a delay in the final excavation of the site, and water is flowing in. That needs to be solved. That drainage problem. It's a pipe that appears to be going back probably from the construction of the pool, probably in the 1930s. It doesn't seem to be documented anywhere that in any site plans anywhere. So that was unexpected. So the engineers, both inside here, Mr. Correo and the outside engineers have been on scene, if you will, evaluating it to determine the source. It does appear at this time, for whatever reasons they've developed, that it is from the fields. But come later this week, they're going to put a camera down that aqueduct to determine exactly, where this, where it is, confirming where the source is coming from. Providence Water was out there evaluating and doing their thing to determine if any of the water was coming from the Providence water system, any households, and that proved negative. So it appears for those reasons, it appears to be drainage, but it needs to be solved. So it is causing a delay in the pool as a result of it. There will be, I'm sure, an additional cost due to the delay. They're looking to evaluate the remedy that would be suitable to stop it. And right now, it's leaning towards possibly just being able to plug that pipe, if you will, in a more high-tech fashion that I'm describing at the moment, and moving on from there. Hopefully, if that is the case, because it probably won't come at an extreme additional cost, but there is a time delay that is jeopardizing the pool from opening this summer, unfortunately.
So this is going to be done this week when they're going to go down in the pipes.
The scoping is slated for Thursday of this week.
When do you, will they get you a report within a few days, do you believe?
Yeah, it's a visual thing, so it's expected that
Would you be
very
willing-
soon after
Would
that.
you be willing to email me an update?
Sure. Yep, what I want is make
Yes,
sure we have,
ma'am.
I want to kind of conclude, so I'm going to speculate, but once they conclude, otherwise, just, I don't want to speculate, but yeah.
All right.
Happy to update the council anytime.
Thank
And
you.
It's unfortunate.
Councilman Graziano?
I just had a couple questions, Director Moretti. When it was unearthed, did they find an inlet and outlet to the culvert, and you're claiming it's drainage? So, or excuse me, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You are questioning whether or not it's drainage. You mean stormwater drainage for the city of Cranston, or it's an underground stream that you just unearthed? So I'm just wondering, I appreciate the video because I've just made a note of that. I was going to ask you that, but like, did you try to find an inlet and outlet, and does the city have any type of infrastructure plans that would show the stormwater drainage to confirm whether or not this is part of that drainage?
Answer your questions in reverse. There haven't been any plans discovered, again, from that system. And whatever the outlet is, the inlet's going to be determined from the scoping later this week. Because it appears to be, because it's in that, I'll say, aqueduct or this drainage pipe, it appears to be a concrete type pipe, old fashioned. It appears to be, what they're telling us is, from the fields, drainage of the fields, not necessarily just a stream coming in because it's being directed the way it is. We'll have a much better idea as a result of the cameras going down there later this week.
Okay, yeah, I'd really like to second Councilwoman Haroyan's request because, but you're not doing any more construction until such time as you make a determination on the, okay.
That is correct. What's happening, water continues to be in there. It's being pumped out. However, there's the site was in really great shape. It was, it was nearly ready to begin pool construction. But with the water going in there and the elevator, now that it continues to flow, it's not filled up, but substantially, and that needs to be resolved before any construction can take place going forward.
Okay, and you're dewatering into a pit?
The same, it's going in the rear of the facility as approved by DEM and what had been done to drain the pool in the first place.
Okay, thank you.
But hopefully it will be identified and resolved soon.
Any other council members? Okay. Thank you, Councilwoman Haroyan, for focus on the issue. Thank you, Director Moretti, for the update and for, thanks, Councilwoman Graziano, for your input as well. Next, we have Councilman Andahar. The floor is yours on the Providence Water Lead Replacement Service.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be brief. I just wanted to inform the council and the general public that Providence Water did receive a federal grant, and they will be in certain areas in Cranston, especially in my ward, Ward 3. They will be visiting Ward 2 and I believe Ward 1. It's a federal grant. It's free lead service line replacement. And if you are in an area where you have a lead line and you don't qualify for the zone, they are offering 0% interest-free, lead replacement service. So I just want to let everybody know that they will be knocking on doors during daylight hours. They will be identified with Providence Water badges, and just keep on the lookout for them. And I just want to thank Ricky Carullo and the men and women of Providence Water for the great service they're providing to the residents of Cranston. Thank you.
Do you by chance have a map?
Yes, it's if you go on providencewater.org, but you can also call 401-575-0776 for more information, and they will just type in the address and let you know if the house is available, if it qualifies.
Thank you, Councilman Andahar. I understand too, the notifications are also, they're bilingual, are they not?
Yes, they are,
Yes.
Madam President. Yes.
Yep, thank you. Next, we have council business matters carried over. We have the resolution for approval of the petition for the abandonment of a portion of Elmhurst Avenue. This is sponsored by Councilman Campopiano, and it was approved by the Public Works Committee on February 13 of 2025. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
And any discussion from council members? Councilwoman Graziano.
Thank you. I just would like to make a note for the record that if this ever happens again and comes before council, then I'm asking that the petitioners be prepared, because I'm going to ask every single time for sewer easements, water easements, and utility easements to be prepared. And we want to make sure that our city is protected from being able to address any concerns and maintain our existing system. So I just want to be clear that this is not a one-time deal for me. This is going to be asked by me every time.
Right there with you. Any other council members wish to be heard? No, okay, and I just want to confirm with the solicitor's office, you're satisfied with respect to the preparations now relative to the easements at that location?
Yes, Madam President. I would just state for the record that based on what I reviewed, that the law requires very basic, well, our ordinances and state law do not get into this much detail in terms of easements and so on and so forth. And those are matters which I would say would have to be deferred to private counsel as they prepare these documents. But in terms of the legal requirements, I'm satisfied that the legal requirements have been met.
Okay. Any other discussion from council members? No, okay. In light of the easement issue being resolved and the assessment letter from the city assessor relative to the value of the property, I will be in support of this resolution this evening. Any further discussion? Councilman Buonanno?
I just want to go on record to say to Mr. White that, thank you for your patience throughout the process. I think, to be honest with you, I think, getting the easements ahead of time, to me, makes a lot of sense because it protects the city, even though we probably haven't done it that way in the past. And it's the unfortunate situation that Mr. White happened to be the first one to go through it this way. But you should take pride in the fact that you paved the way for your fellow Cranstonians. And on behalf of my colleagues on the council, I want to thank you for that. And I will be in support of this as well. Thank you.
There being no further discussion, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haroyan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next up, we have ordinance 1-25-01, an amendment of chapter 17.84 of the code entitled zoning. This is carried over from last month's council meeting, and when it was heard in committee, it was denied by a unanimous vote at the ordinance committee on February 13, 2025. Do I have a motion relative to this ordinance?
Make a motion to deny.
Second.
Any discussion from council members? Councilman Andujar?
Although I believe in housing and I think we need it over there, but I will deny this based on what you recommended. So I just want to let your residents know that you are a big fighter and a good fighter.
All right, any other discussion? No? Okay. And to that point of housing, Councilman Andujar, the developer can still build on that property just in
Just not
accordance
enough.
with the current zoning. At this time, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Harayan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Madam Council President,
Yes.
can I ask a housekeeping question? When you say the business are carried over, were they tabled?
No, it was
initially?
just,
No,
it
they're
was
not.
continued from last month. Yes. Yep. Thank you. Yep. Yes.
Since we do have a relatively new council, in years past, there had been a heading for a business on the clerk's desk, okay? We don't use that because that's a terminology and a heading used in a bicameral legislature. This is a unicameral legislature. In addition to that, we don't have old business because the folks at the AG's office looking at the OMA don't like the term old business. And it's not tabled business, it's just business that's carried over.
Thank you. Next, we have introduction of new business, but before I take a motion to take those matters as a block, I want to make note of a scrivener's error on ordinance 3-2501 on line 36. It should read, instead of firefighters, it should read employees. Okay. That will do it for that scrivener's error correction. Okay, next at this time, I will take a motion to take all new matters as a block.
Motion to take new matters as a block.
Second.
Is there any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano, Councilwoman Harayan, Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante, Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next, I'll entertain a motion to move the block to their respective committees.
Motion to move the block to their respective committees.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Graziano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Harayan,
Yes.
Councilman Andujar,
Yes.
Councilman Ritz,
Yes.
Councilman Trafficante,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes, and before I entertain a motion to adjourn, better late than never, I want to acknowledge Councilman Ferry joining us this evening. Welcome back to Chambers. Thank you for joining us tonight. Now, at this time, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, was there? And no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Good evening.